Hello, in this video we're going to go over order of operations, and I have some example problems down here. They're the exact same, but I'm going to use these to show you why we need to think about the order of operations. So if I start with this problem and just go from left to right like I was reading a book, and I would say 8 plus 6 is 14. Then I'm done with 8 plus 6. So bring down my divided by 2 and my subtract 1. And then 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I'm done with the 7. I'm done with 14 divided by 2. So now I'll bring down the subtract 1. And then 7 minus 1 is 6. So if I did the problem that way, I could get the answer of 6. If I come over here to the other problem, what if I did it in a different order? Let's say I started with 6 divided by 2. Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. I'm done with 6 divided by 2, so I'm going to bring down the 8 plus and the subtract 1. And then let's say I decide to do 3 minus 1 this time. So I get 2. Then I'm done with the 3 subtract 1. So I bring down the 8 plus. And I have 8 plus 2. And 8 plus 2 is 10. Now if you see here, we have 6 and 10 different answers, even though the problem is the same. And someone sometime figured out that we need to have rules for how to solve problems with multiple operations in it. So we have the order of operations. And there's a saying that we use to kind of help us what the order of operations are. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And the please stands for parentheses. Excuse stands for exponents. My dear stands for multiply or divide, and that's always from left to right. And then Aunt Sally is add or subtract, and that's also from left to right. So if I come back to my original problems here, and I'll have, oops, wrong one, 8 plus 6 divided by 2, subtract 1. Based on the order of operations, I always look to see if there's any parentheses first. And looking at the problem, there's no parentheses. So next, I come down and I check for exponents. And the exponents, if you don't remember what exponents are the little number that shows up right here, and that tells us, so that would be 3 squared. 3 squared equals 3 times 3. But we don't have any exponents in this problem. So then we have to look for my dear, or multiply or divide from left to right. So if we start here, addition, division, this division symbol, you'll see that in our everyday math sometimes this year. You also see it that way and that way, but in this problem it's written this way. So the divide comes before adding or subtracting, so we have to do this middle part first. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. I'm done with that part, so I bring down the 8 plus and the subtract 1. And there are no more multiplication or division parts of that problem. So when I come to add or subtract, we always go from left to right. So we start left to right, and it doesn't matter if it's subtraction or addition, it's just whatever's first from left to right. So for this particular problem, addition is first. 8 plus 3 is 11. I'm done with 8 plus 3. So I bring down the subtract 1, and 11 minus 1 is 10. So following the order of operations, we get an answer of 10. And we have two more example problems here for order of operations. And let's start again. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we have parentheses. We're going to check for parentheses first. And just like reading, we're going to go from left to right. So we do find parentheses right here. So in the parentheses, 8 times 5 is 40. So they're done with 8 times 5. And then we bring down 5 plus 72 and divided by 8. And I know I'm going to have some students be like, why do I have to write all that stuff down? Every year I have kids complain about that. And the big thing is just to make sure that we're keeping everything in order, we're not forgetting anything. Generally, my students who try to do all of this in their head or without bringing it down, they end up making mistakes. And so it might take a little bit more time, but you end up being more accurate in the long run. So, done with parentheses. Now we're going to check for exponents. And in this part, there are no exponents. So, next I go to multiply or divide, and that's from left to right. So we have addition, addition, division. Dividing comes before adding. Even though it's back at the end of the problem, we have to divide before we add. 72 divided by 8 is 9. So I'm done with 72 divided by 8. I'm going to bring down the 5 plus and the 40 plus. Then there's no more multiplication or division. It's all adding or subtracting. In this case, it's adding. So 5 plus 40 is 45. Done with that. And add 9 to it. And then we have 45 plus 9, which is 54. And so our answer to that problem is 54. So now let's look at this second problem here. We have parentheses 10 plus 4 squared plus 10 plus 56 divided by 7. So again, I know it can, it's time consuming, but we start. Parentheses. There is parentheses, so we have to do that part first. Now, exponents comes after parentheses, but in this problem we have 10 plus 4 squared. We can't do 10 plus 4 first. The exponents comes before we add. So yes, there's parentheses. Within the parentheses there's exponents. So the exponents have to come before adding or subtracting. So 4 squared is the same thing as 4 times 4, which is 16. So I'm done with the 4 squared. So I'll bring down the rest of the problem. And there are parentheses still, so we have to do the parentheses first. 10 plus 16 is 26. Done with that. So I'm going to bring down the plus 10, the plus 56, and the divided by 7. There's no parentheses, no more exponents. So now we have to look for multiplication or division from left to right. Addition, addition, division. So we have to do the division part first. 56 divided by 7 is 8. Done with that. So bring down the 26 plus 10 plus 8. There's no more multiplication or division, just adding left. So 26 plus 10 is 36. Done with that. Bring down the 8. And 36 plus 8 is 44. So for that set of problems, the correct answer is 44. I know the video was a little bit on the long side, but I wanted to make sure that I showed you enough examples so you'd be familiar when you came across different problems. As always, make sure you let your teacher know if you have any questions, and have a nice day.